that we've had. So thank you so much for joining us for this social media refresher course. We have Clara Williams with Mississippi's Children's Museum. We have Hannah Jackson with MTK, and we have Elena Hinckley with AmeriCorps in Triple C. So thank you so much, ladies, for agreeing to teach us old folks something new today. So we welcome you, and we'll go ahead and begin with Clara Williams with Mississippi's Children's Museum.
I'm going to do a brief introduction, guys. Claire has been with us now at the Mississippi Children's Museum for over a year. She is a graduate of the University of Mississippi, and her responsibilities actually lie with our new media, which she had the foundation laid at the University of Mississippi for its focus on social media platforms, websites, and graphic designs. We are so happy and elated to have her as a part of our team, guys. So can you help me in welcoming Claire Williams to the call?
Yay.
Thank you for that introduction, Sharon. Good morning, everybody. Like she said, my name is Clara. I'm the digital media and website coordinator here at the museum, and I'm super excited to be sharing some knowledge with all of you this morning. So I guess we can just dive right in. As you all know, investing in your brand social media presence is really just one of the best things that you can do in today's world of technology. Whether you're a nonprofit, retail store, volunteer organization, there's just really so many benefits to having an established, reputable social media presence. As of right now at the museum, I manage 5 different Facebook accounts, 4 Instagram accounts, 2 Twitter accounts, 1 YouTube account, and 4 websites.
Wow.
I got a headache.
This is definitely no small task. But it's definitely challenging at times to keep up with, especially when you're learning to regularly adapt and stay up to date with trends and best practices, which are constantly changing. That being said, I wanted to talk about some of the most helpful tools that I've found useful in keeping up with so many different platforms at once. So really the biggest thing is getting organized, getting on a schedule. Best practices in social media strongly suggest that you are posting at least once a day, twice a day max. To keep track of this, I have a social media calendar that I use every single day, which allows me to keep up with our upcoming events, programs, projects, everything that we have going on a day-to-day basis. Keeping this steady stream of content flowing is good, but flooding your followers with multiple posts in such a short time period can often have the opposite effect that you want it to. And research actually shows that people experience a 50% drop in engagement per post when they post more than once a day. So for anyone who needs the basics, engagement is how many people actually interact with your post. So likes, comments, shares, and reach is just how many people see that post. So I mean, there have definitely been weeks where we have a lot going on and hit closer to 2 posts a day, but we really try to avoid overflowing our feed. And that's where stories really come in handy, and I'll revisit that later. But one tool that I really recommend to everyone is a free resource called Hootsuite. Hoot like an owl, sweet like a honeymoon suite. Hootsuite allows you to post on multiple different accounts all at the same time rather than having to duplicate the same post multiple times on multiple different accounts. So for example, if you have a post that you would like to add to your Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts, all you have to do is add your photo, type out your caption, and then simply check the accounts that you would like to share it to. And it even allows you to edit the text for each different platform for your posts, which is especially handy for Twitter, where there's a 280 character count. So aka a very short caption. And Instagram, where links aren't clickable. So you would want to go ahead and remove any links that you have. That's another snippet of knowledge that maybe not everybody knows, is that you can't click on links in Instagram posts like you can on Facebook or Twitter. So the beauty of this resource is that you're really able to curate captions and posts for each account without having to post on individual platforms separately. And it allows you to schedule posts into the future, which is something that I utilize on a daily basis. When I spoke with a few of you last week, I got the understanding that you really just have some very basic questions about social media. So I just wanted to cover a few best practices with all of you. They're really just basic things that drive interaction, and some of you may know these, but it may be new information to others, so I thought I would just cover it just in case. So the first thing is video. Video content is getting increasingly popular on Facebook. Reels, the counterpart on Instagram, is a slightly newer feature. That's really popular as well. At the museum, we create all kinds of video content, such as programs that you can do at home, exciting projects that we have coming up, and just recap events that we have throughout the year. The second thing that I was taught right out of the gate was posting faces on your feed gets more interaction. And from my experience, I can definitely attest that photos of children and families and staff consistently will receive more engagement than just a simple infographic. So graphics can be useful and necessary, but when it comes to numbers, faces really do make the feed. The third thing is hashtags. My go-to line is use them, don't abuse them. Hashtags can really help boost your organic reach and allow people to find you. They are wonderful, but they can distract from your posts if you use too many, and aren't really very beneficial if you aren't using them in the right way. So you really want to use hashtags that will specifically reach the audience that you're trying to get to. And the last thing, geotagging. For anybody who doesn't know, geotagging is just adding a location to your Facebook or Instagram post. And that typically boosts engagement by almost 80%. And that's something that I learned, not too long ago. Like I said, I'm always learning too. But volunteer agencies like yours could really benefit from this, as you have volunteers at businesses throughout Mississippi. So it would really, you want to tag, and not only tag the companies and organizations themselves, but you really want to use that location geotagging to your advantage. There are so many great best practices that I could share with y'all, but these are the easiest ones to implement in your day-to-day posting. Like I said, it doesn't exactly take a rocket scientist to figure these things out, but some of this stuff isn't always common knowledge to everybody, especially if you didn't grow up in the digital age like so many generations today. But now that we have begun a new year, I thought that we could look at some of the social media trends that came out of 2021. One of the first ones that I want to touch on is live streams. Live streams had a huge jump in 2020, and their popularity really just kept rising throughout this past year. And this is heavily due to the pandemic, but also just the ease of sharing video in real time. Live streams can be done through Facebook and Instagram, and we've live streamed across multiple platforms when we have an event in the museum district. We really utilize live streams for press conferences, ribbon cuttings, or just daily programs like a story time at the museum. And they're really very popular. We always get great interaction on all those. So the second trend, stories. This is something that I said that I wanted to touch back on, but social media is just constantly evolving, right? I mean, the premise of Snapchat when it got popular was that a friend could send you a photo and you could click on it and then you could see it for a few seconds before it disappeared. And this took a while to catch fire, but eventually Instagram, Facebook, and even Twitter caught on to this trend. And now over 500 million people are using stories on Instagram alone per day. So on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, these stories stay up for 24 hours. And at the museum, we have so much going on all the time. So stories are really helpful in getting information out about our events without having to flood our feed with graphics. Like I mentioned earlier, we really like to keep it to a few graphics here and there, but we really like to primarily have faces on our feed. Sometimes we add stories and let them expire, and sometimes we add them to something called a highlight, which is a spot that your stories can live on your Instagram profile until you decide to remove it. So for an organization like yours, this could be a fun opportunity to do a story series where you have a Meet the Volunteers highlight or an About Us highlight where people can really like learn what your organization is all about. And this is the last thing is something that we briefly touched on last week during just our introductions, but I did want to touch on TikTok. TikTok blew up during the pandemic and has just continued to have this explosive growth, not just in young people, but across a wide span of ages and demographics. And in fact, I read somewhere that TikTok was the first non-Facebook owned app that reached 3 million global downloads. And I was curious, so I looked up how many downloads they were sitting at yesterday. And as of last month, they actually have 3 billion global downloads as of January. So yes, it is a social media outlet worth exploring. And in fact, there are a number of volunteer organizations already on the app that you could use for inspiration. And I would be happy to share some of those profiles with anyone interested later via email. So all that being said, digital media is constantly changing and has already changed quite a bit just in the years since I've been out of college. You really have to continue to learn and utilize your resources. So having panels like this is a great step in the right direction. Like I said, it is a learning curve, but anyone can do it as long as they're open to learning new things. There are just so many helpful resources online, and even I have questions sometimes, but I have found that the answer is usually just one YouTube instructional video away. So I'm happy to share kind of my outline of today's presentation for you to reference, along with I can link any other resources that I mentioned throughout this presentation, but I did want to leave some time at the end for questions if anybody has anything in particular they want to know, or anything I said that they would like for me to revisit. So if anybody has any questions, just let me know. And if not, I can hand it off to the next presenter.
Thank you so much, Clara. That was great. Thank you for that. And please share your outline, because I was taking notes, but of course.
I moved fast. There's so much information that I, 10, 15 minutes is only so much time. So I did kind of run through that, but I'm more than happy to share my notes with all of you.
Thank you so much for that.
Great presentation, Clara. We definitely appreciate that. And same as Sharon, I tried to take notes, or I did take notes, but you sharing it with us, we would greatly appreciate that, for sure.
Yeah, no problem.
So, and I'm sure there are questions. So you guys go ahead and just write those questions down, and we'll get at the end, we'll go back and let you answer questions. I think that would be best because of time, time to
Sounds
save
good.
for everyone. So
Mhm.
up next is going to be Hannah Jackson. And I'm not going to do like Sharon did and introduce her. I will allow her to let us know what's going on in her life right now. Thank you, Hannah.
Guys, I'm a student at Mississippi College. I'm studying psychology and criminal justice right now, and I had the very sweet pleasure of volunteering with MTK for a few years in high school. We did definitely focus on social media a little bit when I was over there, but like Claire was saying, it evolves so much and so quickly that I feel like we probably should have had training sessions, like constantly figure out how we could better like share our information. One thing I've been thinking about since I've been preparing for this is that I know this is kind of contradictory, but Facebook does not need to be thrown out altogether, because a lot of kids, actually not necessarily kids, but I know college students for sure are still invested in Facebook to a degree. Most of the organizations that myself and my friends are involved in require us to have Facebook to keep up with certain things and be a part of certain Facebook groups to communicate with each other. So I just want to throw that out there too, just because we are evolving a lot doesn't mean that we need to totally forget about Facebook. But the platform that I really wanted to focus on was Instagram, because I think now this isn't like a peer-reviewed journal article, but the statistics say that about 70% of kids 18 to almost 30 are using Instagram almost daily. And so because we have such a big number, I think that'd be a really good idea to focus on Instagram, as well as it is connected to Facebook. So like Clara was saying, it's very useful, instead of going to each of your social media websites to have to post the same thing over again, if you wanted to do it on multiple platforms, to there's a little switch when you post on Instagram where you can share it on Facebook simultaneously with the same caption. In addition to that, I know for Mississippi College, and I know it's for other colleges as well, we have something called career services. And basically they send us via email and post on Instagram job opportunities around the area that are looking for jobs, but they don't just do jobs, they also do volunteer opportunities. And so that might be a helpful resource to reach out to, because they are very active on Instagram and making sure that they post the information. And for students that are looking for that, need volunteer experience or need job experience, that can be super helpful. And it is a little bit intimidating because there seem to be so many functions, but as social media has been updating and kind of competing with each other for popularity, they're all having the same functions essentially. So it might look a little bit different, but again, like Claire was saying, there's highlight reels, there's these stories that you can post on, and just about every social media is having the same function. So, it's like once you learn the first one, you kind of learned them all. But again, a YouTube video is kind of helpful if you need a little bit more of an orientation on how to deal with that. And then finally, I have a note about TikTok and then the other social media things that we need to be posting. People really want to see who is involved in it and what they want to look at, what they're going to be dealing with. And so, when it's a whole bunch of information, I know younger generations have something called scroll culture. And basically what that means is just, if it's not immediately interesting in the first couple of seconds, they're going to scroll past it. And it's sad, but that's just the truth, So if you want to get something really attention grabbing, we need pictures of who is involved in this and who the kids are, or who, whatever we're dealing with. It's just like, it's much more eye grabbing when we're like, oh, what's this? And then they continue to read about it. And so planning is super important to see, what's going to be the best way that we can grab their attention, or what's the best way that we can promote this and make it look interesting for them to stop and be like, well, let me stalk this profile a little bit more and let me see what this is about a little bit. The last thing, I don't know if this is more of an option. I know for Instagram, the more that you kind of engage and the more activity that you have, the more you're going to pop up on individuals' feeds. And you can also get your, even you can set your profile as a nonprofit organization, and you can create ads for your profile that will pop up on people's feeds. And it is important that you stay consistent with how much you're posting. But again, like, not overloading people's feeds, because that's the quickest way to get somebody to unfollow you, because they, didn't want to have all this information, or they didn't want to see all that you wanted to be posting. Just like something every day, something to say that you're still involved and you're still engaged, and that they can get like a little piece of information every day. So, but overall, I think Instagram for my age group is really going to be the one that grabs their attention and offers the option of like, hey, we also could use volunteers, and even letting maybe the volunteers have more of a control if needed for the social media, because they know the trends and they know like what people are going to look at and what looks good and what's going to keep their attention. So, and that's all that I got for that.
Hey, Hannah, I think Michelle has one quick question.
Yes.
So this is for, you know what? I'm going to wait and let Elena talk first, because she might answer my question.
Perfect.
All right, because I was going to say, did you not hear us say we're going to wait till the end, Miss Michelle? So I understand that we have Miss Tamika on the line, and I would love for you to tell us a little bit about Elena, or would you like Elena to tell us about herself?
Hi, Stacy. This is hi, everybody. I'm going to have Elena tell a little bit more about herself, but just to say that she's our community relations support team leader this year with class 27B. And she's been with us since about, she came in around June and will graduate in May. So just got a few more months to go before the end of her term. But Elena, do you want to share some more about yourself?
Yeah, so I sure. My name is Elena, as Tamika said, and I'm a member of AmeriCorps NCCC. And if you don't know, NCCC stands for National Civilian Community Corps, and it's a temporary residential program for young adults to travel across country and doing service across communities. As Tamika said, I'm the community relations support team leader, and I work to train members on photo taking, caption writing, media outreach, and more. So thank you for the introduction, Tamika. I actually have a presentation. Is that all right if I share my screen? All right, awesome. I need capability from the host. Perfect, thank you. One second. All right, so just a little bit about AmeriCorps. There are 4 campuses across the country, and I am one of 7 people who stay at the Vicksburg region, or the southern region in Vicksburg, Mississippi, working to support members in the field. So one of the big social medias that we use is Facebook. So our campus is only authorized to use Facebook and YouTube. So for Facebook, we post pictures and videos that our members submit to us in an effort for prospective members to see what work could be like, for alumni to relive their past AmeriCorps memories, and for current members to share their memories with family and friends. We'll also spotlight members to amplify our agency's mission, and we'll also repost stuff that our headquarters will post. So if we go, I just want to show you what our Facebook looks like.
Elena, did we lose you?
It says she's still connected.
Yeah, those winds out there are so high. So,
Yeah,
and
I
she's in
think
Vicksburg.
now she's not on here. Hopefully she'll come
Pop back
back.
in. Okay. Well, okay. Well, those questions that until she pops back in, I think we should just keep going. And Michelle, since that question wasn't answered, do you want to go ahead and ask it now?
I already forgot, sorry.
Oh, well, I have a question. This is Elizabeth. I do. I always have questions. Is it okay if I ask one?
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
You were talking, Clara, about Hootsuite.
Mhm.
I have been using that Meta for Business that
Mhm.
links Facebook to Instagram. And I know I had been told that before you had to be careful when you are doing your captions, because if you have one in Instagram and you copy it over to Facebook, and hit a link, it takes you back to Instagram. When you are working in these apps like Hootsuite and Facebook for Business, are they automatically fixing it for you so it goes to the correct platform?
Yes, so I use Meta and Creator Studio a lot too. Just depending on the content that I'm trying to get out. Like sometimes if I'm posting multiple photos, it's easier to use Meta for Instagram. So yes, to answer your question, those are automatically curated specifically for those platforms. I think what you're kind of referring to of like, if you post something in Instagram and then you click the little button that says add to Facebook as well, when you do it that way, if you're looking at the post on Facebook and somebody clicks that hashtag, it will revert you back to Instagram because that's where the original basis of the content came from. But when you're using platforms like Hootsuite or Meta, those do cater to those specific platforms themselves. So you won't be taken out of that platform if you try to click on those hashtags or tagged names.
Mhm. Well, could I take this one step further? When you're posting and you are trying to figure out which hashtags to use and you go to where it's trending, do you have any tips for us about which ones to pick when you are creating your post? And I think Hannah needs to answer that too, because she was talking a little bit about that. So can we have answers from both of y'all? Because that's been a real thing for me. And my niece has been trying to teach me. She's your age. So
Right after that, Elena's back on, so we'll begin her presentation. But go ahead and answer that, y'all, please.
Okay. Well, I can start off. A lot of times the things that are trending won't have a great deal to do with your organization. And that's where you really want to keep track of days. So every year there's, National Volunteer Day, or there's National Day of Giving, or that's a global day of giving. So there are certain trends that will fall in line with your mission that you would really want to take advantage of and hop on. But that's something that is really helpful too in Meta or Creator Studio. They keep up with all of the different holidays. It's like a sidebar, and it'll show you, St. Patrick's Day or President's Day or National Volunteer Day. So that's really helpful too, so that you're not having to look up every single day that you think could possibly be related to you and your organization. So like I said, trends aren't always going to be in line with the sort of content that you're trying to push out, but that's kind of something that you'll want to stop at the beginning of the year, maybe go through and write down all of the special days out of the year that are devoted to highlighting things that could be relatable to you and your platforms. So other than that, you're just going to want to use hashtags that you feel like really relate to your platform, like hashtag volunteer, hashtag become a volunteer, hashtag nonprofit organization, those sorts of things like us at the museum, we kind of have our go-tos. And you'll usually want to include the area that you're into. So we almost always hashtag Jackson, Mississippi, or visit Jackson.
Good. Thank you. That was helpful. I needed that.
Hey, those are all such good points, and I didn't even think about the holiday thing. That's an awesome idea because it is really hard to find hashtags that are actually going to be relevant to what you're posting, especially since it's so specific to your organization. But, you know, with things like volunteer or become a volunteer, that's like broad enough where it like focuses on your post, but also, you know, if you had included a holiday and people were just exploring that hashtag, you know, if your post comes up, they're, you know, it might not have been what they were looking for originally, but you're still going to post up on more people's feeds who are maybe not specifically looking for that, you know, so it definitely gives you a broader, you know, reaching atmosphere.
This is great. Well, thank you. That helped me a lot. I don't know about everyone else.
Okay, well, I'm glad your question was answered, and I went ahead and put something in the chat that you guys can also go on the national today, because that's what I do as far as the posting now, because I'm taking a social media class, and that was one of the things that they taught us is make sure you sign up for that, and you'll get notifications for the holidays and the different days. But anyway, we're going back to Elena. So sorry, that wind's blowing in Vicksburg and here in Jackson as well. So you can go ahead and continue your presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm currently using the hotspot because we never got the Wi-Fi back, so hopefully I'm not too shaky at all. And if I am, try to stop me. But all right, so going back to our Facebook, so here we have a post. These are pictures that our members submitted to us. In order to include multiple pictures at once, we made a collage of 3 photos, and we're able to see that in one post. And then for the caption, you can see we tagged the organization that the team is working with. We added quotes from the members and from staff, and we've also added our typical hashtags that our organization uses. And you know, I think we could probably benefit from adding something such as volunteer here or something along those lines. But so those are also hashtags. Here we have a member spotlight. So this is one of our team leaders for FEMA, and this is just to showcase the work that he's doing. What we typically do is we ask someone to nominate a member, and once we have the nomination in, we'll ask that member for questions to answer. So what's their hometown, what's their college major? And this is a great way for them to feel recognized, for them to share it with their network so their network can learn more about AmeriCorps, but also for our potential members to see this and say, oh, I also majored in computer science. I can do this program if you've done it. So it's a great way to have other people feel connected to this person and to this program. So if we go back to the presentation, we could talk about YouTube for a little bit. So for our YouTube channel, we're currently working on creating informational videos for prospective members to learn more about what it's like to be an AmeriCorps member in the Southern region. So we're typically just using YouTube to inform other people of what we're doing. So videos that we're currently working on are like how to pack for the program, what's it like living in Vicksburg, Mississippi. So just informational videos for people to understand what they're going to be expecting. Now, I said previously that our members post photos to us or give photos to us, and then we'll repost those photos onto our Facebook. So we collect photos from members through Box. And Box is typically used in more of a professional work setting that collects different types of resources. So if people are collaborating on files or whatever, they'll use Box, but we typically just use it for photos. And it's a great way to get a bunch of photos for the same mission all in one place. So if I could show you Box a little bit. Our organization, we have a lot of different folders for how we'd like to do things. And I'm sure your organization would use folders in a very different way from us, but for us, this is very organized and it helps for what our setup is like. So if we just click through all these folders, I know they probably don't make sense and I apologize for that. And then we'll get to photos that people have submitted, and we're able to click through these and look through these. So it's something you might want to consider if you have multiple people that take photos and you want to be able to view all of them. Next, I'm going to talk about Instagram a little bit. So for those that don't know, Instagram is basically you post a photo and then you add a caption to it, and you're able to tag people, add the geolocation that Clara was talking about, add hashtags, all of that. And in recent years, they've added stories that Clara also spoke about, and stories are super, super popular now. If you look here, this is a picture that was going to be posted on a story. Here are things that can be added to the story. You could add quizzes, you could add links to things, questions, all the like, and then you're able to add it. So in this photo in particular, they added a link, I'm assuming, to this restaurant or cafe that they were at. So you're able to make it super interactive. Something that is becoming popular with Instagram stories are Instagram takeovers. So an Instagram takeover is the process of taking over someone else's account temporarily and sharing content with their audience. So what we'll do is we'll pick teams in the field to take over the headquarters account and post about what their team is doing. So they'll talk about their project, they'll talk about what they're working on, they'll show videos of what they're working on, they'll do interviews with the team members. And again, you can make it interactive. You're able to ask questions and then ask questions, or allow your audience to ask questions and then answer those questions in a video or in a post. And I know when I was looking into this program, I definitely checked out the highlights, so the past stories, so that way I could see what this program was like for other people. And to just show you what this looks like, here is the headquarters page. And if you scroll down, these are the photos that they post. This has nothing to do with us. We just typically do the stories. Your story in real time will show up in the top left corner in the logo or in the profile picture. And then your highlights, which are past stories, will be in these little circles right here. So if we click on the first one, the takeover, this is something that one of our teams can do. So this is a team, they're introducing themselves here, and this is their start of their takeover day. And then they had a little ask us anything box, so any audience can ask a question. And they have them answering the question in the little white. They have a photo of what they're doing. Here they had a collage of photos so they could see all the photos at once, again, answering a question. And then they have an interview with this member who is answering the question in a video while also having it typed out. And they've also added this little arrow that they just hand drawn on, this text of who it is. And they also have stickers that you can add. So they chose to add this little globe with the little plane flying around. So Instagram stories are super, super beneficial and informative. And they're also a great way to be creative. There's a lot you can do with them. And finally, I wanted to touch on TikTok. So TikTok, oh, are we still going? All right. So touch on TikTok. So TikTok is not something that we use, but I definitely think it's something that we should be using, because TikTok is so popular right now, especially amongst the younger generation. And people use it for both, like Instagram and like Facebook, entertainment and information. And a lot of nonprofits are using it. And the best thing with TikTok is that there are a ton of trends. So it's easy to just see what others post and recreate it. So the best way to learn how to be good at TikTok is to watch TikTok and see what's going on. So one organization that we worked with that uses TikTok is the Salvation Army. And I believe Hannah was saying it, where it's great to let your volunteers take charge of the social media, and they let one of our teams take charge. So I wanted to share that video with you all. So this is the video, and this is the trend on Facebook or on TikTok, this voiceover. Can you hear it?
I don't know that the sound is coming through.
What was that?
Can anybody hear the sound?
At the beginning, I heard it, but now I don't.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's all right. I don't want to waste too much time trying to get that to work, but basically it's just a short video. It's different clips put together, and then it's a sound that's very popular that they lay over the video, and then basically the people in the video just mouth the words. It sounds kind of complicated with all the editing together, but TikTok has made that super user friendly. And as someone said before, YouTube is the best way to figure out how to do things. And honestly, I think just trying it, you'll see that it's much easier than it sounds. But that is the end of my presentation. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Oh, wow. This day has been so informative. Yay to everybody, because y'all have made me feel brave enough to possibly start tackling the Instagram account for MTK. I think I can do it. Just let
You can do it.
So, questions. Y'all want to go ahead and start asking the questions to the young lady?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I was curious at how do you share with Instagram? I've been like, if I see a post from another organization that I like, and I can share just about anywhere else on LinkedIn, Facebook, but I can't seem to figure out how to share on Instagram.
I can take this, or anybody else who wants it can take it. I don't want to monopolize the question time, but
You go ahead, Clara. I have something that I can say, but if you say it, then that's great.
So sharing on Instagram is a little bit different than sharing on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. That's where stories come into play. This is probably something that we could have touched on. I think we all mentioned stories, but like I said, there's so much you can cover and so little time. But so when you share people's posts, the first thing is that person has to be public. So there's two types of ways that you can set up your profile. You can be a private account or you can be a public account. And private means that people request to follow you and you approve those accounts. And public is anyone can see your content. Your platform is open and out there for the public to see. So you can't share people's posts that are private unless you're directly tagged. So for public accounts, let's see, we'll walk you through it. For public accounts, if you see a post and you're scrolling that you want to share, there's a little, like a paper airplane. You'll see like, comment, and then a little paper airplane. And you click that paper airplane, and there's an option at the top to add it to your story. And then underneath that, there's options to send that photo or video, that post, to one or multiple friends. So when you share a post on Instagram, that post will go to your story. It won't be part of your direct feed. Now there are apps out there. There are ways that you can take that post and duplicate it on your own feed, and that will appear on your actual Instagram square, like your feed where you see all of your own posts. You can duplicate that, but usually that's like an app or a place. There's a specific place that you can do that. But typically when you think of sharing somebody's post, you just think of stories. So if anybody wants to add to that,
I agree. That's the one downside about Instagram is it's not like Facebook. You can't reshare that exact post typically unless you have an app to do that. If you did want to share like a public pages post to your story, again, that's going to be up there for 24 hours for people to look at, but you can always add it to a highlighted thing if you think it's important enough to keep on your feed and you want people to keep looking at.
I have a question about the music, since we were talking about that earlier. When you are picking out music from the large catalog they have, what are the rules about using the music, whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit? Are there rules about that when you are adding music to your stories?
Are you talking about like on Instagram?
Really Instagram and Facebook, because you are allowed to go into that catalog and put music with both. And I was really in a trick bag several months ago, and I finally got scared and took off all the music because I thought, they have the rights to it. It's like 15 seconds long. Maybe that's why people are getting away with using this kind of music when they're in a for-profit business. But when you go to research it, it's so convoluted, you can't really get an answer. So I just figured one of you young people would know the answer.
Yeah. This is a problem that it's so frustrating because we'll have, we had an event last Saturday, and the theme was New York State of Mind. And there's so many great songs out there about New York. And all I wanted to do was add those songs over the stories that I was sharing. And as a nonprofit, as any branded content, it doesn't allow any songs that can be copyrighted. So they have songs out there that are free for use, but it's the question that comes into play of monetization. So that's why no actual branded content is allowed, even for a nonprofit, which I think is a bit, like, I agree, like the lines are kind of blurred on that. But that's why when you're on your own personal accounts, you can add, whatever music you want. There's really no filter, but I found that out the hard way. It was just so frustrating not to be able to add, music over certain posts that I was doing on NCM's platform versus how I could freely do it on my own. And that's because on a personal page, you don't have the question of, are they monetizing off of this sound that isn't theirs? So.
Okay. It's good to know.
Yeah.
And I think Elena put some some websites that we could look at for that. Is that what you were popping in there, Elena, for the sound?
Yeah, so those websites are a way to say non-copyrighted is also royalty free. So these are some royalty free websites that I typically use to add music to things, and all that it's just free use. So that could be helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great resource.
Questions. This is your time. We have about 14 minutes left. So any burning questions?
So I don't want to date myself like Elizabeth as well, but for those individuals who are not as familiar with all of these different platforms, what would you recommend to be the most user-friendly to get started and activate? Because even a lot of 50 plus, let me just say that, individuals are reluctant to even go to social media because they think it's too challenging. Any suggestions for that?
Okay, this is a little hard because I know all social media is different in its own way, but in terms of signing up for an account, it all kind of follows the same format. The only advice that I can give is just like, usually when you sign up for an account, it's going to take you through an orientation of like how to post and what to post, or like how you want to set up your account and all that. So that's really helpful. If you need like additional tips, listen, I go to Google for everything. And so, it's in there, it is out there. Like there are plenty of people who have the same issue or are not quite understanding. Listen, like I still don't understand everything about it. And so I still have to ask questions myself. So that's really helpful. And then once you start using it, I was thinking about this a second ago. It really clicks after a minute. And social media is supposed to be fun. And I know it's like for if it's for like a nonprofit organization, that is one thing, but still, like when you're adding things to your stories, like all that seems so overwhelming. But then it's like, all right, let's just get in touch with our creative side, and you can personalize it, make it exactly how you want it, and then make it just, it can be sweet and happy and fun. It doesn't have to be like this big intimidating thing that stresses you out. But once you
Yeah.
get the hang of it, it's, it's so helpful and it can be really cool to use.
Mhm. Thank you for that.
When I use Facebook, to me, it's more like a phone book. Used to serve as a phone book. But when we had the prep meeting, I posed the question, if you're using Instagram or TikTok, you call them factoids, I think, Clara, where do these facts, where are they on, sometimes that you can't easily get them. Where do they live in these different formats?
I think you're talking about like the type of content that you want to see. Is that right?
Right.
So, I mean, that again, I kind of touched on that last week on that call, but every single platform, whether you realize it or not, is tracking your every like, your every comment, everything that you search, all the hashtags that you click and use. So really, whether you realize it or not, and especially in later years with the way that Instagram changed from being chronological to just based on popularity and how much you interact with that specific profile. In the last few years, it's really gotten so personalized. So those things that you want to see will appear over time. It's just a matter of you sort of curating that type of content for yourself. So if you're on TikTok and you're scrolling, there it's a very simple app. There, like that, when it comes to capabilities, that app probably has the least. Like it's not super advanced. Like it has one capability, and that's making videos, so when you're scrolling through TikTok, all that they are tracking, nonstop. And I mean, cross tracking too, that's a big thing. Looking at your data from other apps. You're scrolling and you see a video that you don't like and you scroll past it. You see a video that you like and you watch the whole thing. You see a video that you really like and you watch the whole thing and you like. And sometimes you go to the comments and you like comments and you add comments yourself. So all of those little actions will curate the page. It's called a For You page. It'll curate a page that really, like, if you're on the hunt for those factoids and those informational, that type of content, that is what you will eventually get on your feed. But it does take work. I mean, I remember when I first got TikTok, and I was having so many off the wall videos show up on my feed that I'm like, this is not relatable. I don't enjoy this. But over time, that's something that you really curate for yourself. So it just takes some time. And the newer you are to the app, the more time it'll take as you go. But just like your page, your Discover page on Instagram, like how, I mean, sometimes it's off base, like technology is technology, but you'll have recipes pop up and you'll have cute clothes that pop up. I mean, it's the same sort of thing. So
I don't know how many people use Pinterest, but it's like the same deal. Like if you typically look at home design or if you look at food recipes, that's mainly what's going to be popping up on your page because they know that that's what you want to look at. But like Clara said, initially when you first get it, it's probably a whole bunch of random stuff that you're not even interested in. But social media is a lot more in depth than we really think it is, because Instagram, they track how long you look at a post and how long you spend on somebody's page. And, all these little details are going to push you in a certain direction of the website. And it's a little scary to think about, but it really is like designs your page to fit around your interest, and it'll fit others' interests too. So if they spend a lot of time looking at these nonprofits or these volunteer organizations, it's going to push them more towards your page that way too.
Well, that helped me a lot. I've loved this presentation. You've answered so many questions for me. I know it's helped everybody.
I'm so glad.
Sharon, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Stacey, I'm actually multitasking here. So forgive me. I was
Always doing
speaking,
too
but
much,
not to the group.
Sharon.
I'm sorry. You guys, this was excellent. I've learned
Really
a lot this morning. So thank you so much to each of our
Thank you.
presenters.
Mhm.
Yes, they did a magnificent job, the presenters. Are there any more questions for our presenters? Because we, y'all know how we are about time. Okay, Candace says, thank you all for the opportunity. Okay. All right, so is there anything going on at any of our prospective places that anybody wants to discuss? Because we have about 6 minutes left. Does anybody want to
go.
talk about? Okay.
We do have our Dr. Seuss coming up on the 26th. So that's always a great event for the museum. Our Nassau Day is actually going to be on March 12th as well. And I don't know if I shared this at our last meeting, but our annual youth summit is going to be held April 15th, but I'll share a little bit more with the team probably next month in reference to that as well. And that's it from my perspective.
Tony?
Just like to share real quick, if that's okay, Stacy.
Sure.
So we had a huge donation of hygiene kits. And so if any of your organizations can use hygiene kits, I would be happy to deliver them to you. We have a little over 1,000 kits. So we're looking to share them with whoever can put them to use. So feel free to just send me a message in the chat if that's you.
What type of kits? I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're hygiene kits. So we have shower kits for men and women, and then just like a generic hygiene kit as well.
Okay, so you said send you a message in the chat?
Yeah, just send me a message in the chat, or I'll drop my email in the chat, and you can email me if you could use some of the kits, and we can arrange a time for me to bring them to you.
I can say yes right now. We try to help people on a daily basis. So yes. Miss Mary, do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I was writing all this down. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I will send you a text, Stacy, about getting some.
And of course, we don't expect you to drive to Crystal Springs. I'm in Jackson. I'll drive to you. It's okay. Not a problem. Tony, I think you were trying to say something.
Yeah, I do have one quick announcement. As of February 1st, I have accepted a new role at the Department of Archives and History as the program manager for the Department of Archives and History, working with all of our public programs and everything that we'll be doing going forward as we kind of revamp, as we start to try to look and see what we're able to do group-wise as we work with this global pandemic. All that being said, I will continue with DOVIA and leading the volunteers for the next couple of months, but we are hoping to hire a new volunteer and internship coordinator here at the department. So as soon as that job description goes live, I will send it out to all of y'all in case you know anyone who might be interested in working with volunteers and interns for the department. But I'll continue on through March for sure with the DOVIA meetings. In April, I hope to be introducing y'all to a new coordinator.
Yay. I am so elated for you. Congratulations.
Thank
and Tony,
you.
just
Thank you.
because you're changing jobs does not mean you have to leave DOVIA. Like,
For
yeah,
sure,
we'll
for sure.
meet this person, but we want you to stay.
Well, for sure, I'll definitely be continuing on, but I'm hoping to get them very actively involved in DOVIA and meeting all of y'all and definitely seeing what all y'all can bring to the table that has helped me over the last few years, as well as I've been leading these volunteers.
Thank you so much, Tony. Miss Mary, is there something you would like to add?
Well, I have a couple of things. We're so excited that on March the 4th, AmeriCorps will be coming back to Crystal Springs and volunteering both with Mississippi's Toughest Kids Camp Kamasa, but also with our city. And the last group we had was fabulous. We loved them. They were so much help. They did a great, great job. We couldn't say enough nice things about them. The other thing is if you belong to a group that would be interested someday when our camp that we're building for kids with special needs is completed and bringing your kids to the camp someday, that your organization, if you'd like to tour the camp, we give tours every week. Just, you know, it could be 2 or 3 people, or it can be a bus load, it doesn't matter. But if you would like to schedule to come out and see what's up now, we have cabins that are, you know, air conditioned, ready to walk in and out and see, and other buildings that are up, and we'd love to show you. So any and everybody that's interested, just let us know.
Thank you, Miss Mary.
I don't know if you remember me, but I'm originally from Hazelhurst. My mom is Lori Williams. I think I was a little bit smaller the last time you saw me.
Yes, you were. You've changed a lot, but we appreciate your help in the past. We really do. We have a young man that showed up in our office last week, a high school senior at the public school, hoping he could get some service hours, and he's up here volunteering with us. And you know, it's just so neat to have young people around. Makes me feel younger than mine does now. And so I love having, and I appreciate what you did to help us in the past. Come back and see us.
I will. I got to make it back down there soon.
Please do.
Charlotte, thank you, Miss Mary. Charlotte, is there anything going on at your place that you want to let us know about?
Yes, so we have our annual drawdown March the 12th. It's going to be at the D'Iberville Community Center, and the tickets are $30. You can win up to $3,000, and you can also win other prizes. We're going to have the D'Iberville Fire Department cook all of the pulled pork and chicken, so it's going to be fun. You can go to gccfn.org for that. We also have 2 job openings. We have a sexual assault case manager and a children's case manager. So you can also go to gccfn.org for that. Yeah, Miss Clara said Volunteer Appreciation Week. So yes, we're getting geared up for that. We're also getting geared up for April, which is Sexual Assault Month, and the Start by Believing campaign. So we'll have more of that coming out closer it gets to April. And we also do the Walk a Mile, which is the men who put on their heels. You can come on down, Tony, put your heels on and walk the beach. Always fun.
Please make sure you don't let that pass us by about the men in the heels. I love that type of
I
stuff.
will. And if you can't make it down to Biloxi Beach, you can take it virtually. Take a little short 10-second video of you walking around, or just, you know, holding a sign saying, you know, that you also Start by Believing. You also support the Start by Believing, the Me Too campaign.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to end with Tamika, and I know Michelle has something that she would like to say, but Tamika, what's going on with AmeriCorps?
So I am excited. Like you all said, that MTK will be getting another team, or expecting another team in March. But just wanted to let everyone know, like, for our next program year, the concept form will be due April 21st for teams beginning August the 11th through October 11th of 2022. So for anyone that's thinking about applying for an NCCC team, you know, a little bit later on this year, get your concept forms in April 21st.
Thank you so much, Tamika. And Michelle?
Uh-oh.
I just put it in the chat box that the Texas Volunteer Management Conference is coming up. We have partnered with them for several years. They're offering scholarships, a limited number of scholarships. So there's a link in the chat box for people who want to apply. You can also send in a workshop idea. And if you get accepted to do a workshop, you can attend the whole conference free as well. So There you go. Texas.
Well, if all hearts and minds are satisfied, thank you guys so much for chiming in this morning, and we will see y'all next month. And a special, special thank you to the young ladies, Elena, Clara, and Hannah. Thank y'all so much because,
Thank
like, again, y'all have inspired me. So enjoy the rest of your day, ladies and
Thank
gents.
Thanks for
Bye.
having me.